get started, quickly a recap of the game Friday night. It was really an exceptional win from our football team. As a coaching staff, we feel like our football team is getting better. Things are showing up in practice, and that bared out Friday night. It was a great atmosphere, and certainly want to wish CSU the best as they finish out their year. We've got a lot in store for us, getting ready for San Jose. Each coach that I have talked to that has played San Jose said they're a lot better than their record. And after spending long hours of digging in on the tape, I would agree with that. And so I don't think we sustained any significant injuries. We'll see how things go during the course of this week, but we'll keep you abreast. And so with that, I'll open it up to any questions anybody may have. Yes, Robert.
Yes, Craig, is there an update on C.J. Johnson and and also C.J. Colden? I know you mentioned last week you might get Johnson back. Is there any chance of that this week?
I would say both of them would be doubtful at this time. Yep.
I guess, Craig, anything on Gafon's situation?
Johanna?
Yeah.
No, you know what, the statement that we released is where it's at. I think everybody in the room recognizes the sensitive situation. There's going to be a legal process, and that legal process needs to unfold. I still have very limited amount of information, so at this time, Johanna is suspended indefinitely.
The decision to start Chambers, and I know it was a tentative one. What did you see out of him that made you just kind of take that leap?
Sure. Well, it was certainly a leap of faith. Now, he did some really good things, we felt like, in the Utah State game. Showed his natural ability. He's a competitive guy that can run and pass. I thought during the course of the week he was really embracing the game plan. Got better as each practice went along. Coach Vigen's done a nice job with him. And, did not feel like that stage was going to be too big for Sean. And I think we were right. And it was great to see him come out and perform the way we did. We're still, we are excited about Tyler. We think Tyler brings good things to the table for our football team, so we're going to continue to work those guys, but at this time we'll make the determination that Sean will go in and start this next week unless some things unfold in practice that we had not planned on.
What have you seen from San Jose State that shows you that they've improved?
Well, there's been a couple games that they've been really competitive in. First of all, I think their quarterback's playing well, and they've got some really good skilled receivers. They've got a great tight end, not a good tight end. Their tight end, I think Oliver, is outstanding, and they utilize him well. And so they can move the ball offensively. Defensively, they've got good athleticism. They tackle well. They move in space. I think that they've had a couple unfortunate lapses in certain games, but last week they played a complete game and really got after UNLV. And so a big challenge, but a great opportunity for us. Yes, Robert.
Craig, I know that it's kind of like win or go home, so to speak. You want to get bowl eligible, and you mentioned San Jose is better than the record indicates, but you guys hadn't lost to them last year. I don't imagine overlooking or getting ahead of yourselves is that an issue?
That's not an issue. I tell you what, Robert, we have a hungry football team that's getting better right now, and I can appreciate the clamoring, some of the talk about bowl eligibility. Our focus is doing whatever we got to do to beat San Jose. And so other elements are way down the road. San Jose beat us last year. I think our players recognize that they're a good football team, and we haven't beaten them since I've been our head coach. I know that. And so Coach Brennan does a good job, and they've got a good football team. Yes.
Coach, last week you talked about the competitive nature of your team and seeing more out of these guys and changing their DNA. Have you seen that response last week in practice and through CSU?
Saw it in practice, and then it really became apparent in the game. You saw some of our offensive guys finishing off blocks. You saw receivers going for extra yardage. I know James Price made a couple big-time plays when he caught the ball in traffic. I think he cut his tongue. He had to get his stitches on his tongue and went back in and made a couple more big plays. You saw our quarterback stiff arm one of their defensive ends and throw him down. Nico rushed for it. Yeah, starting to look like we're supposed to look like.
Where'd that come from, Coach? Was that you challenging them or making changes? Where did that come from?
I think certainly the biggest pep talk I know is when you make some changes. can say all you want to as a coach, but when you start making some changes, that changes some dynamics. And then I think also within the leadership of our football team, some guys were fed up. And then we did challenge them as a coaching staff, and so kind of a trifecta there. We'll need to make sure we do that again this week, yes.
Another freshman that you started for the first time last week was Watts, and he came out a couple times, but I see he's still number 1 on the depth chart.
Yeah, he is on the depth chart. He's got a little bit of a knee. I don't know all the specifics on it. They told us that he would be probable, so that's where he's listed there. Yes.
Have you, I mean, I haven't been here obviously, have you ever had 3 offensive linemen being starters for you since you've been here?
3?
At the same time?
It's been a,
Freshman.
Yeah, freshman.
Yeah.
offensive lineman, yeah.
I think we've had 2, but not 3.
What is it about those guys? I know Zach just took over, but Eric's been there some, and Keegan, Rudy. What is it about those guys that they put themselves in positions?
Well, I think we've had a reshuffling of the deck. You know, we had some guys through the program that are no longer here, and these guys have emerged, and they've done a good job. And some of them were good on the scout team. You know, Keegan and Rudy, and then Zach is a guy that we had planned to not play a lot, and then when I talked about that competitive nature, he's a guy that just kept finishing stuff off. The future's now. We're playing now, but I can tell you the future looks really bright when you have those freshman linemen and you got a freshman quarterback. We got to keep getting better.
Ravante stepping in for Johanna last week. What did you see out of that young guy? Obviously, he played last year and so far this year, but what have you seen in terms of his development, Ravante Holt?
Well, I'll address how he played in the game, first of all. Beyond the interception that he made, he's an athletic guy, but you know, they virtually had hardly any rushing yardage. And CSU had not been a great rushing team anyhow, but several times Ravante, you know, took his guy, the offensive guard, and shoved him 2.5 yards in the backfield and had him one way and threw him the other way. He's got really good strength, and so he's played that card well.
Coach Bohl had some pretty selective things to say on a post-game conference, and one of those things is that they're not a very good football team. Was that ever in the mindset of anybody on this roster, coaches or not, that's exactly where the team was at?
Our team?
Yes.
We don't believe so. You know, Mike is a good friend of mine, and I know that the football seasons come and go, and that's his evaluation of their club. We felt like we had begun to see some progress in the Utah State game. Before the Utah State game, I don't know if we were on the right trajectory, but we began to make some changes, subtle changes in the dynamics within our football team. We didn't win the ball game, but I left the field that day knowing that we were making some good moves and thought that if we could continue that path that we'd be a better football team. I think we are a better football team. We're a long ways away from being a good football team, but we're a better football team. Yes, Robert.
Craig, I know with these last few weeks, with short weeks because of weather and travel, but then, you know, did you give the players the weekend off, and do you feel like you're kind of getting, I don't know if you're completely fresh at this time of year, but just getting back to some normalcy as far as your schedule and preparation and rest and all that kind of stuff?
It was the first time that our players really had a complete day. You know, Saturday, you know, a lot of the guys that were from the Colorado area spent the weekend with their family, which is great. A lot of other guys came back. You know, we did come home late, but having a chance that next day to not do a whole heck of a lot on Saturday. I know for our coaches, you know, many of them slept 14 hours because we've just been so sleep deprived. And so, you know, an opportunity to get rejuvenated, but there was not an attitude of, well, we beat our rival, we beat CSU, let's all just take a couple days off as a coaching staff. We didn't do that, but it was not only mandated by the NCAA that we have 2 days in a row on how our schedule comes out. I think it was prudent too to make sure our players did get a little day and had a chance to get some rest and get healed up, because that was a gauntlet that we went through. I mean, I think if anybody that was on the trip saw our football team laying on the luggage rack in the Denver airport at about 5 o'clock in the morning, it was, you know, you thought, how in the world we're going to get ready to play Utah State, so it was good to get back in good form. Yes.
I know Keon is still listed at the top of the depth chart, big corner, but Tyler, the last couple games, gotten a lot of those reps. Is
We're,
that a permanent thing?
yeah, the depth chart's is kind of contingent upon some of the calls that we make. That's a starting point. You'll see all those guys play, but yeah, we're certainly moving Tyler around. Tyler's moved around, Marcus moved around some, and Keon's gonna move around some too.
How do you say Tyler's played this year?
I think he's played well. You know, there was a big a discussion that we're still having. It was he a better inside nickel? We call it like a third corner. Is he better outside? And so we're fashioning our defense to give ourselves the best chance to win. I thought that the CSU receivers are really, really a talented group, and you know, our guys hung in there. We did probably change our game plan a little bit once we got up X number of possessions. You saw us maybe play a little bit more coverage. It was going to prevent the big ball over the top. Coach Hazelton and I were in constant communication. I was counting possessions time, and so they did move the ball some, but I thought the corners did well. Tyler did play well.
Many years kind of the element of losing is always two ends of that spectrum. From the mindset of these guys, from what you've heard, overheard, or maybe kind of got a post-it note, what was it about the message from these guys that basically says, you know what, we're here to finish the year out regardless of what the record is? What do you take away from that?
Well, first of all, the resolve of this football team to keep on getting better in practice, and it's, you know, I don't disagree with you. Success begets success, and there's wisdom and truth with that, but you got to have something go right. And I do think that there was a groundswelling of turning the corner in the middle of the Utah State game. I just sensed there was a different vibe that our football team had. Sometimes you can't put your finger on it, but I knew it was there, and we had a really good week of practice, even though it was a shorter week. Our guys were really focused, and I thought we played with a great deal of energy. I know we charted our miles per hour by our football team. I think it was one of the highest that we had. So it meant our football team was set, ready to play, and they ran hard, and they were hungry. And I thought we played physical too. I mean, I thought we played, there was some physical hits, and I thought we, you know, the biggest telling sign was the line of scrimmage. When, I mean, we were knocking their guys back on defense and we were getting some movement up front. That's a good starting point. Yes.